Hey guys, welcome to Creators to Creators today. Today we have a special guest.
Hi guys, my name's Amit Dhuga. I'm a filmmaker and actor here in Vancouver, BC, and I'm happy to be a part of this with Meosha. Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much for coming on. I'm excited to talk to you. You
It's
have
my
a really cool bio, dude. You're like doing it.
Oh,
Actor,
thanks.
model. I
I
mean,
mean,
you're
I think it's okay, but thanks a lot. Appreciate it.
definitely, definitely. Tell me from the beginning, like what was your childhood like and how did you, I guess, kind of find your way or interest in the movie business?
Well, basically, my childhood was mostly spent indoors watching movies. So,
Awesome, awesome.
all my siblings, like, they were the ones really that were more into playing outside and doing, what kids back then were doing. But I had to be forced to go outside, and I really didn't want to because I was always, more interested being indoors, watching TV shows, movies, and I drew a lot as a kid,
Oh,
but I
cool.
didn't draw. It's interesting. Like I didn't draw pictures. I drew. It's almost like storyboards.
Oh,
So I
fun.
drew, yeah, like I drew visual stories in almost like a picture book, if that makes sense.
Okay.
So pretty much like ever since I was about 4 years old, I've always just been so interested in just storytelling, right? Whether it be, making up my own stuff on paper or using toys to make stuff or, just watching films and television shows. So I guess since the age of 4, like it's always been, you know, I like to give credit to Terminator 2 and Jurassic Park
Oh,
because
yeah.
I don't know why my mom let me watch those at like 5 years old or however old I was when I watched them. But honestly, those two films are what blew me away. And I guess I would say those are the films that inspired me to get into film
That's awesome.
because, like growing up, we're watching kids shows and kids programs and everything, right? We're not seeing, robots shoot up everybody and people like ripping arms off and robot arms and dinosaurs eating people. Like we're not seeing that on the kids shows.
Right.
So just the special effects and the storytelling and just all of that, like it was just out of the norm for me and not really something people my age should be watching, but I did. But yeah, honestly, now I don't regret it because it's got me where I am now. So
That's awesome. I love that. And I was like, so as you gotten older, like what you said you did, art and stuff like that. What was the next transition? Like, was your family pretty like supportive of you getting into the arts world, like in the film, well, as you got older?
oh, of course, they've always
Awesome.
been super, super supportive ever since the beginning. It's actually funny, like because I was really, really into dinosaurs as a kid, and
Aw.
I did all these sound effects with the toys and all these like different sound effects, like punching and everything, like when I'm playing, right? And it's so funny. I didn't know this at the time, but like my mom told me when I was older, and all my aunts, they were like, "Yeah, we knew you were gonna be like an actor and in film, just because
That's awesome.
we could just hear you from the downstairs playroom, just like all your sound effects you're doing, all this and that." They're like, "Yeah, he's gonna be an entertainer." So,
I love that.
um, yeah, like I'm really blessed to have such like an amazing and supportive family. So, like especially like like my mom, she's the one who really like pushed me to go after what I dream of doing. You know what I mean? Actually, my whole like all my aunts, my uncles, all my family have been like that. But
That's
it's just
fantastic.
always mom who's always had the mom talk with me, if that makes sense. So,
Yeah,
but
definitely.
it's great because it's like in my high school, I went to high school, elementary school, and high school here in North Vancouver.
Nice.
And we, in our school here in North Vancouver, it's different in different cities,
Hmm.
but in our school in North Vancouver, we actually didn't have a film course. I know other high schools around do.
Uh-huh.
We actually didn't. We had acting. So like
Oh,
it wasn't more so for film, it was more so for just theater. And like, I mean, it was high school theater course. Like it's not, a lot of students took it to, oh, I have to fill in a spare in my schedule. Okay, I'll just take this class. You know what I mean? Or I'll
Right.
just do it for fun, whatever. But like the reason I took it was I took it actually to be serious about it. And, it was unfortunate we didn't have a film course or anything. So that was the next best thing. So I did acting in high school for about 3 years. So from grade 10 to 12.
Hmm.
Um, there were some school plays we had to do. I'm really glad they're not anywhere to be found.
I'd
I'm,
love to see it. I'd love to
oh
see some.
God, yeah.
I have some
Yeah,
really horrible films I've done. I'm like, oh my God,
right.
what?
But you know what it is? That's the beauty of it, because you see the first thing you've done, then you look at how far you've come since, right? And the
Right.
thing is, the beautiful thing with film is you're always learning. There's never, oh, I know what I'm doing. There's always ways to improve, right? So like,
Absolutely.
but okay, the theater plays, no, I don't want anyone watching those. But yeah, so then in grade 12, obviously that was the senior year. So then I wanted to go straight into, have you heard of Capilano University's film
That sounds
program?
so familiar. It sounds
It's like
familiar.
worldwide known. They have students coming from all around
All
to
over.
that
That's
school, right?
awesome.
Because, yeah, thank you. It's apparently one of the biggest schools for the film program,
I love that.
right? It's crazy. So like I wanted to go into that.
Hmm.
And it's funny because they have an acting program and a film program at Cap, right? So
Nice.
first I was like, okay, can I do like maybe I'll think about the acting one. Like I want to be an actor as well. Maybe I'll think about the acting one. But I'm actually really, really glad I took the film one, because the reason I took the film one was with acting, sure, you learn acting and all the history and all the styles and stuff like that. But with film, you learn how to get a project literally from paper to the screen. You learn how to build it up and make it yourself.
Yes.
Whereas you don't really learn that with acting, right? And with the
Right.
film program, it had a little bit of acting in it. And it was kind of opposite. So, like, the film program had a bit of acting in it, and the acting program had a bit of film in it, but it
Got
was
it.
just basic stuff. So, like, I took all my acting stuff from high school, threw it out the window. And what I learned in my film program, the acting side, was just the basic stuff, kind of like, you know, like what is your relationship with this character in this scene? What is your motive? Stuff like that. So that's how
Yeah.
we learned the acting side. And then with the film side, especially like just it really emphasized directing, producing, writing, DPing, and the lighting and sound. And then, but it was a 4 year program. And the first year was just more so about just introducing you to all the roles and everything. Second year was kind of expanding a bit on that and expanding a little bit more on directing and
Hmm.
writing.
Hmm.
The third and fourth year, those were really, really more about, you know, film history and all these visual theories you learn, and the really strict about the directing and the writing and stuff like that. So the acting side wasn't too much a part of the film
Right.
program, but what I did after I actually graduated from film school was I took local acting classes here in Vancouver.
Cool.
And it was great because when I took those classes, I'm like, oh, this is what I learned in film school. So it's nothing too new, which is
Yeah.
awesome. But a lot of people ask me as well. They're like, oh, do you need to go to acting school or whatever? I'm like, I mean, you can do what you want to do, but like what I did was I went to film school strictly for film, a little bit of
Hmm.
acting, did
Yeah.
small acting classes on the side outside of film school after I graduated. But honestly, I think when I'm acting, because the directing side was so like informative and they were really strict on how they were teaching us in the film
Hmm.
program, what I like to do when I'm acting is I take my directing style and put it to my acting, if that makes sense.
Gotcha. I see what
Yeah,
you
so
mean.
it's like because we learned both, right? So
Right.
I kind of when I'm acting, if I'm reading lines and figuring out motive and et cetera, et cetera, I think to myself, I'm like, okay, if I'm directing someone, how am I gonna direct them with this? So then it's almost like I'm directing myself, if that
Mhm.
makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely,
So,
1000%.
yeah, so that's the kind of style I like to go with. And plus, like, if I'm acting in a role I've written, it helps a lot too, because like, it's all coming from here and then on the page. So it's like how to portray it, right?
That's
So
it. And I think I find that you're right. I think of a lot of actors, I find a lot of actors usually who twitch go into directing have it's a really good appreciation for it, because I mean, you see this like that happening in Hollywood. Like you see
right.
like Angelina Jolie acting, and then she's directing a lot of movies, and she's really good at it
Yeah,
because she's lived on that side of acting for a long time. So
totally. Yeah,
yeah, I
totally.
totally understand what you mean. And
The
it's
best, in my opinion, the best directors are like actors themselves, in my opinion.
yeah.
So like, of course, there's quite a few really good directors, fantastic directors that are just solely directors, writers,
Yeah.
directors. But like, just some of the like, a lot of the directors I look up to personally, they're actors themselves as well.
I
So I
see.
think
I see.
it's really cool because then you, like, as you mentioned, you have both knowledge of both sides, right? So
Definitely. That it just helps. It just definitely
definitely, definitely.
helps. So so modeling too. So that was after school, or you just kind of dabbled a little bit in that and then
Yeah, with modeling, actually, it's actually really funny. Modeling was after film school.
ah,
Modeling, I do actually just more for fun
I
because it's almost like, if I don't have any projects coming up, I'm like, okay, how can I stay busy and stay creative at the same time? So, like, I did some modeling shoots where I'm just, just casual shoots. But recently I just did, I don't know if you saw, I did like a Rambo themed shoot. Like I'm dressed as like a commando, machine gun, blood everywhere. Oh, you did see that. Yeah. So like just for fun, like it's almost like acting, but in front of a still camera. You know what I mean? So it's like
that's
I'm trying to get
cool.
more, yeah, like I'm trying to stay creative and like stay in that kind of, you know, acting look and just portray different characters almost. So like I just do it more for fun though, but it's cool how the pictures turn out. I like all of them.
Yeah, you look cool. I was like, look at this guy. Look at this
Oh,
cool
thank you.
guy.
It's so funny because I'm a big action film fan and I kind of get myself out there more for action because I do stunts as well. So it's funny, like I remember I released the Rambo themed picture.
Mhm.
And I remember I did a poll on Instagram. I was like, okay, who wants to see this like in it? Who wants to see me dressed like this in a film or do a film with me and a bunch of guys like this? And everyone's like, yeah, we gotta see it. We gotta do it. I'm like, okay, duly noted. We'll see.
There you go. There you go. Well, I can't wait to see that. That's gonna
Oh, thank you.
That's exciting. So curious, did you all like as you kind of, with after film school, like did you kind of know exactly what you want to do next? Like, okay, this is the plan, or did you just like have no plan? Because after most people after film school, they kind of get super in debt, or like they're like, well, what do I do next? Like, what's the my next step? What
Right.
was yours?
Luckily, I'm thankful to have had a plan. So going into film school, I just had, I want to be an actor, but I want to learn about how to make films, right? But then
Yeah,
coming out of film school, I'm like, okay, I want to be an actor, director, writer, producer, right?
yeah, yeah.
And I had experience with all those crew roles in film school in our student films we did.
Mhm.
So then my goal was, okay, outside of films or when I graduate film school, how can I chase those dreams, but also because as we know, film is not a 9 to 5, 5 days a week, 40 hours a week job, right?
All
So I'm
right.
like, how can I chase those dreams, but also, still have a day job on the side, right? And
Right.
I remember I didn't want to do a day job non-film related. So I didn't want to be like, okay, I'm a filmmaker, but I work at McDonald's or whatever, right? So,
Right, right.
so it's actually really cool because in our third year of film school, we have a deal with, you might have heard of them. They're not based in LA. They're not an American company. They're Canada, but they're associated with a bunch of American Hollywood productions, right? Have you heard of William F. White's
Yes,
International?
yes, yes, yes,
You
yes.
have, yeah. There you
Yes.
go, right?
That's
So
cool.
yeah, like our film school has a deal with them where they lend us a package truck full of all
Nice.
their equipment for our student films. So
Awesome.
I remember when I first saw William F. White's, I'm like, oh, like what is this? And our faculty mentors, they're like, oh, that's William F. White's. They're like, the biggest film equipment company in Canada. They're involved with pretty much anything shooting here in town. I'm like, okay, interesting. Then I wanted to learn a little bit more about it. I'm like, like what do they do? And my mentor who knows about Whites, he was telling me, he's like, yeah, they're a warehouse job. They're associated with like renting out equipment to all these productions, and they're actually 9 to 5, 40 hours a week. I'm like, oh, okay, good to know. So luckily, I'm very blessed and happy that after film school, I got hired at William F. White's, and I'm still there currently and proud to be there because honestly, my managers there are fantastic. Anytime I want to shoot a film or be on set for another project, they're always so supportive,
That's awesome.
and they're just like, yeah, if you need any equipment, go for it, take what you like. And it's like,
Wow.
since working at White's, I've been there because I graduated in 2017 of April, and I started at White's in November 2017. So yeah, in the almost 4 years I've been there, I've made my first short film, Prisoner.
Nice.
I produced a short film, I LM'd a short film, and I LM'd an indie feature. So
Hey,
all
there you
involved with
go.
equipment from White's, and yeah, it's just awesome. And I honestly don't see myself doing a day job anywhere else because it's really cool because it's not being on set, but it's still film industry related. So like
Yeah,
I'm a driver and warehouse associate.
nice.
So I get to drive to all these sets in town and pick up or drop off equipment. So I've
Yeah.
seen some pretty cool things on set. So it's kind of nice to be, surrounded by the industry you're passionate about. So it's
Exactly. I
awesome.
love that. That is great. That's really awesome.
Oh, thank you.
Fantastic. Very, very cool. Also, I'm curious, do you have like any, like what's, do you have like any film like that you love to try to like tackle? Because I noticed that you like to talk about like your topics are very interesting, very socially conscious issues, and that's, which is great. I'm all about that. I think that's absolutely great. But are there films that you're like, I want to talk about this or something different or a different genre? Or do you have a favorite genre of film?
Oh yeah, of course, action's my favorite, hands down. But my thing is like when I'm making films, like through my production company, Balance Line Productions,
Mhm.
I'm specializing more in South Asian stories,
Okay,
just to add more diversity in the Canadian film industry.
gotcha.
So like basically, when I'm making a film, of course, I want it to be entertaining. That's always number one, right?
Yeah, yeah,
But also number one is what is the message of the film? Why
ex-
should people watch this film? What is the film telling us, right?
yeah.
Like I'm all about, popcorn films as well. But, it's always cool to have a popcorn movie that also is meaningful, if that makes sense.
Absolutely,
Right.
1000. Yes.
So like for example with Prisoner, did you I think I posted a bunch about it as well. Did you manage to see
I
any?
did. I did see some of it, and yeah, I was like, oh,
Oh,
this is
okay.
interesting. Yeah,
Oh,
I
thank
did,
you.
and
I'll have
I
to
read
send
up
you a
some
link.
too. Yeah, huh?
I'll have to send you a link because it's just
Oh,
doing
please do,
festival runs right
please.
now, but I'll send you a link for sure.
Yeah, thank you, thank you.
Oh, thank you. Yes, because for that film, like it's an action film, it's a revenge story, so it's like exciting and
Yeah.
everything. But the core message of it is it's dealing with Indo-Canadian gang violence here in Vancouver,
Mm.
and that's still an ongoing issue in our society.
Oh wow.
So I wanted to spread more awareness of it, but films before that have been made where their dramas about Indo-Canadian gang violence, and A few friends of mine have made them and they've done a great job. But I was like, okay, I don't want to make another drama. Plus, in film school, they really emphasize dramas. I'm like,
Mhm.
I want to move away from dramas now.
Yeah, yeah.
My favorite genre has always been action, but they didn't really allow too much of that in film school.
Yep.
So I'm like, okay, now's my chance to really tackle it, right? So then when I was making the film, my thing was like, I don't want to cross the boundary of just making it, because it was stylized and a bit over the top, but I didn't want to make it so over the top that it was almost unwatchable, if that makes sense.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Right. So like I want to, make it exciting, make it entertaining, and seeing audiences' reactions to it have been amazing, which is I'm really thankful for. But honestly, seeing how they're reacting to like the realistic aspects of it and the
Mhm.
whole Indo-Canadian side of it,
Yeah.
that is what's more powerful.
I
So
love that.
that's what I like to do. It's just like, make it entertaining, make it fun, but when the audience is done watching it, what should they take with them away?
I love that. That's kind of reminds me a little bit of Jordan Peele's Get Out and how,
Yeah.
it was super, super entertaining, but also like, whoa, like it
Right.
definitely provoked conversations.
Oh, of course. Yeah.
So
No,
I'm
that was a
definitely
really well done movie too. So.
very well done. Very well done. Just creepy and crazy, but I loved it at the same time.
Oh, it's
Um,
awesome.
but so I love that you have like a social conscious aspect to your film, but also that's great. That's what I think most. That's where I'm going as far as like as I get older as a filmmaker. I want to talk about issues of that's happening in the world. So I
Right.
love that. Who's do you have a favorite like a you're like someone who like inspires you as far as like it could be a filmmaker, it could be like a director, writer, cinematographer, whoever.
Oh, a bunch. In Bollywood, there's quite a few. It's mainly actors though. Like, do you know
Mhm.
much about Bollywood or?
I well the only thing the only thing I know about Bollywood is that my ex he taught me a lot about it.
Oh, okay. Okay, gotcha. Gotcha.
That was all I know.
Oh, that's
But
okay. Yeah,
I
like
did
there's a
watch a
few.
few. It's beautiful.
Oh yeah, no, it's awesome. Like there's a few stars in there that have inspired me just because, it's going about, we had nothing when we started and we worked hard and now we've like made a name for ourselves. So that's inspiring. But like in terms of Hollywood, it's actually really funny because some people are surprised, some people are not. But I'll be honest with you, I'm not, I really hope I don't get haters here.
Bum,
I'm
bum,
actually
bum.
not a huge fan of Martin Scorsese, Coen Brothers. No, I'll admit it. I'll admit it. Like
No,
there's
no, no. I
so
promise you,
many,
it's okay. It's okay.
right?
No
Yeah, no,
judgments here.
I'm so glad that you're open because so many filmmaker friends I've told, they're like, "What are you? What's wrong with you?" I'm like, I don't know. I've watched some of their films. I've just thought, okay, like I don't
I understand.
see what the huge buzz is about. And that's the thing with film is it's always subjective. It's going to affect someone one way, it's going to affect another person another way, right? So it's like the people who inspire me are, Quentin Tarantino, James Cameron, George Lucas. It's funny, Sylvester Stallone, even Arnold
Yeah.
Schwarzenegger, because it's just like all those guys. Like for Arnold Schwarzenegger, for instance, like kept getting rejected and rejected and rejected.
Oh
They
yeah.
kept saying, they're like, you're never gonna make it big, you're never gonna get roles, seriously, give up, your accent is a huge problem. You're not gonna go anywhere, just quit. And then look what happened. Like he turned out to be, one of the top stars in Hollywood, one of the biggest action stars of all time. And yeah, like that's what happens just when you keep on the drive, right? And like even with Stallone as well, he was sleeping on the streets, he was poor, and then he wrote Rocky. And I think was it not Warner Brothers, what am I thinking about? United Artists or MGM, sorry, it's MGM.
MGM. Yeah.
MGM, so MGM wanted to buy the script, right? And Stallone said, he's like, I'm only gonna sell the script if I'm playing the character, right? So then
Yeah.
you're going, and then eventually they agreed, and then look at the Oscars that year, like it won Best Picture and everything, right? So like it's just about that's one thing I like to tell the emerging guys as well is, no matter how much someone tells you, oh, that's a bad idea, or no, don't do that, or like, oh, it's not going to go far. I'm like, if you believe in it and you have people around you that believe in it, just go for it. Right.
That's it. That is so true. Like if you, it's like watering a seed, right? Eventually it's going to grow. Like you're going to
Exactly.
see, you're going to reap a harvest of what you've planted. So it's just,
Exactly.
I think we live in a society that's very microwave. Like
Right.
they want stuff right now. And it's like, I've talked to
Right.
so many countless of people that, that I've talked to
Yeah.
over the years are like, so how do you do it? I'm like, I've been doing this since I was like a kid. Like it's not something that it's everyone's storyline is different, right?
Yeah.
Everyone's path is different. So some people can just like Charlize Theron, you be in a mall and look beautiful, and someone's like, "You're beautiful. I want you to do
I
this
want you to
acting."
film. Yeah,
That's it,
exactly. Right.
and
That's all it is, right?
some people it's really fast. I just think it's if you love something enough, it's your passion. You're gonna stick it out.
That's exactly it. Because it's just like, leave your egos at the door. That's one thing. I don't work with egotistical people. I don't
Mhm.
work with people who are like, your idea is bad, mine's better. Let's go with, like, you know what I mean? So, I mean, that's why, I like to work with people I've worked with before or worked really well with. So, like if I don't like people I've worked with before and worked really well with, or people who are recommended to me by people I've worked well with. So
Right.
that's why, like, because just in this industry there's so many egotistical people, like, and
Ugh.
that's why I don't want to be surrounded by that. So that's why I just kind of stick to my own like little circle, if that makes sense.
Mhm.
And I mean, that's why, the beauty of independent filmmaking should be, we're all here just to have fun, right? Like, I know with the studio side, it's more of a business. And of course, it's a business in the independent side too. But I find with the studio side, it's more militant. But with the independent side, you just got a group of passionate people coming together and have
Yeah.
some fun and tell a great story, right? And that's actually one thing I really like that George Lucas said in an interview. As George Lucas created Star Wars and, you know, created like the biggest merchandise selling thing of all time, right? So I remember saying in an interview, he was like, the thing is, because it's like, people gave him some slack for the prequel films. Like, I love Star Wars. You can see the poster behind there. But people gave him some slack for his prequel trilogy, episode 1 to 3. Did you know, just because poorly written dialogue and cheesiness here and there, blah, blah, blah. But what I really admire about him is he actually said in an interview, he said, the reason I don't go with Hollywood is because when you're in Hollywood, you don't always feel like it's your film. And I'm like, okay, because he said, he's like, you're a director, but you've got the production company and distributors on this shoulder watching what you're doing. You've got the producers over your shoulder here watching what you're doing, telling you how to do it. Oh, I don't think you should cast that guy. You should cast this actor instead. No, but I want that guy. No, no, this actor will sell better. No, don't do it that way. It won't make money. Don't. So George Lucas says, he's like, I don't like having people over my shoulder. So, and it's not an egotistical thing. It's basically what he's trying to say is, as a creator, as a director, you should have the freedom to tell your story how you want it if you have a story that resides with you. Right. So it's like if let's say when I did Prisoner, for instance, right, that's a story that resides with me. If so and so's over my shoulder here that don't quite understand the story but are telling me how to make it, it's not going to be the same. Like when I make the film, I'm not going to feel like it's mine, right? And that's one thing George said as well. He's like,
Happens, yeah.
with Hollywood, you make a film, you don't always feel like it's yours. So that's why I like to stick with the independent side, because not only just because you work with amazing people around you, but also in the end you have the freedom to tell the story you want to tell, right?
That's it, the freedom. Because right, I mean, I think we're trying to get to that point now in Hollywood where people are trying to like they're talking more about like trying to keep fight for their stories to be
Right.
the way they've written. And so hopefully that's where we're going. It seems like a lot of great people are, trying to push the envelope. But I mean, it's a business, it's such a big machine. So I think, like you said, it's the independent sign is just it's better because it's like we have more freedom to tell stories that we want to see. And so that's great.
Yeah, that's why I love Tarantino too, is just because he's in studio, like he's in Hollywood. But if you really think about it, he is an independent director.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's pretty much all his films, they're all his style, right?
Yeah.
And like all like Miramax and like all these companies, they're all like distributing his films, but they're all like it's almost like they trust his work, so they're not going to be like, oh, change this, change that, right? Like I remember for Kill Bill 1, like I'm a big Tarantino fan, right? Like with Kill Bill 1, have you watched it, the first one? Yeah, like it's sick movie, eh?
So good, so good. I mean, it's a classic. I mean,
Oh, of course.
it's one of the, one of his best. For me, I love, Uma Thurman. I
It
love.
made me like Uma Thurman, actually. So
Yeah, I loved her
it
in that. It's like,
was awesome.
yeah,
Yeah, because like with that film, there's that scene, in Japan where she's taking on the whole clan with the sword fight, right? And did you remember when it went black and white and
yes,
flashing everybody?
yes,
You
so
know the
good.
reason why they did black and white?
No,
Not
tell
a
me,
lot of
what was the
not a
reason?
lot of people know. So what happened was, I think back then because I think it was Miramax that was distributing that film, right?
Uh-huh, uh-huh.
And Tarantino, that was his fourth film. And I mean, Pulp Fiction was huge, but
Huge.
he did Reservoir Dogs, Pulp Fiction, Jackie Brown, and then Kill Bill, right? I think he did establish a name for himself, but I'm not sure if it was to that extent of, oh, Mr. Tarantino will do whatever you want. I don't think he established himself to there yet. So basically, when he did that film, Miramax was saying, they watched the cut and everything, and they're like, the producers were like, this is kind of violent. This is pretty, it's pretty up there. So I mean, you got two options. You can either cut cut down the scene or cut a lot of it out, or the film's going to get an X rating, and that's going to limit your theatrical runs. So Tarantino, being the guy he is, said, he's like, I'm not cutting anything. I made this. I'm making it how I want it to be. So what he did was, okay, I'll change it to black and white so that way it doesn't look so graphic. And
Violent.
not only, yeah, not
That's
only does it
that's good.
not only does it help conceal some of the graphic scenes, but it also works stylistically as well. So it was a win-win.
That's awesome.
Right?
That's awesome. That's really
So
cool.
that's why I find him inspiring, because he's one of those directors where, I have this story, I'm telling it the way I want. And it's not, like I said, it's not an egotistical thing.
Yep.
What's egotistical to me is if you aren't open to hearing notes or feedback from your peers or
Right.
from crew members who are close with you. That's what I find egotistical. Or you walking on the set, oh, I'm the director, I know everything, blah blah. That I don't like to work with. But I mean, if it's stuff about your story that you've spent so long, because he wrote like the films as well,
Right.
and like if it's a story you spent so long writing and it's like, it's your baby pretty much, I think, you should have every right to tell it the way you want.
Absolutely. 100%. I love that. I love that. What advice would you give to somebody that wants to do what you're doing or get into film? What advice, what does that look like?
I would say one of the biggest things is don't don't think when you, let's say you go to film school, right? You direct student shorts, you write student shorts, you're everything, right? And then you graduate. Don't think that as soon as you walk out, everyone's going to know who you are. And I think that's a huge mistake a lot of people make. They walk out and they say, oh, I directed this really well done student film. A lot of places are going to say, oh, that's awesome. Would love to work with you. But then a lot of places are also going to say, okay, cool. That's not really what we're looking for. So I think it's almost like when you're walking out, be ready for rejection and don't think, you know, everyone's just going to know who you are, and don't think people are going to run up to you and offer you stuff. So it's almost like, you know, when you're entering film school, you're working hard, you know, to make it to the next year. Think of it as when you leave film school, you have to work hard to kind of go up again, if that makes sense. Oh, thank you.
That was great advice. So ending it, where can people find you on social media? Where can they like get in contact with you? Can they watch your movies and all that stuff? So, but where's that?
So I'm on Instagram. My username is Amit Dhuga, AmitDhuga, all together. And my production company, Boundless Line Productions, is on Instagram. Again, all lowercase, all together. I'm also on Facebook. I'm not on Twitter or anything. I'm mostly on Instagram and Facebook. I also have the Boundless Line website, which is www.boundless-lion-productions.com. And they have links to you know, photo gallery of BTS, and like my contact info is on their email number. They have links to my films that are on my YouTube channel, and yeah, just, you know, come on, say hi. I'm always happy to talk with new people and meet and mingle, right?
Yay!
Well,
I'm
thanks so
glad I
much.
met
It was
you
awesome.
because I mean, you know, we have a mutual friend. I've known
Of
him for
course.
years, and he was just like, I love how people can like connect with people. Like that's what it's all about, and that's what this show's
Yeah,
about. You know,
definitely.
connecting with other artists and creators out there. So, thank you so much for coming on. It was a pleasure getting to know you more.
Thank you so much for having me. This was awesome, Meosha. That was awesome.
Thank you. And guys, that's another episode. And always remember to live, love, laugh. Bye, guys. See you next time.
Yeah, take care.